Okie dokie, everybody. It's time to talk about the most important subject ever. Boners. What does it mean? Why did I get one? Did I get one? Did I get a partial? Or if you're a female, you experience arousal in a different way. In OCD, we call this the groinal response. Did I have a groinal response? All right, so let's get into this today. Guys, welcome back for another video. My name is Brian, also known as OCD Mindful. The questions keep pouring in. You guys, I'm talking to a lot of people now. People are expressing that they're doing very well, jumping into the treatment the right way and sticking with it. But here's one that comes up a lot, is the question of what in the HOCD communities is called the groinal response. Basically, to me, this sounds like a sort of dodgy term for talking about, did I get aroused or did I not get aroused? Did I get partially aroused? You don't hear this term anywhere else but in HOCD groups. So I don't like the term. Like I said, I think it's deflationary and it can be ritualistic in that way. Oh, it was just a groinal response. It wasn't real. I didn't get aroused. I had a groinal response. What's the difference? You get aroused or you didn't get aroused. And so what does it mean? Is that evidence? Is it proof? If I got aroused looking at, some ego dystonic thing, meaning if, I identify or want to be straight and I feel like I got aroused to, say, gay porn or a gay thought, or vice versa, if you are gay and you got aroused to something straight. So that term ego dystonic means that our physical reaction doesn't line up with our core self-values, who we are and who we want to be. And so for people with HOCD, their whole world feels ego dystonic. But, so look, I'm going to answer this question the same way, basically, that I answered the question about, just the HOCD question in general. Am I gay? Is it denial? And I'm going to get some dislikes probably from the people who are looking for reassurance here. Stop trying to figure it out. You can't figure it out. I could just leave it at that. And if you took that advice, you would do better. And of course, take that advice for every question that your HOCD is demanding that you answer right now. But let's just get into why it's completely useless and worthless, and it will only make your condition worse by attempting to answer this question or monitor your arousal level and figure out exactly where you're at and all that. Okay. The reason why it's useless is, let's say you really got aroused, full arousal at, you watched gay porn and you got full arousal. Okay. I've asked a lot of the people I'm working with at this point, okay, if that happened, right? Or even if we took that example further and said, you did an exposure where, again, I don't recommend this exposure, but let's say you went out and tried to experiment with someone of the same sex, and it actually turned out that you got aroused and you were able to have an orgasm, but you didn't really feel like you liked it all that much. And almost everybody says the same thing. They say, yeah, well, that would be evidence then. I'd have to try to come to grips with the reality that I'm gay. And I want you to just think about that for a second. What if that was true? What if you went out tonight and you engaged in some exposure and you had a full-on groinal response. You had a full-on arousal, and part of you wasn't sure if you enjoyed it or not, and part of you really feels like maybe you did enjoy it. And then the next day you decide, okay, this is it. I'm going to come out. I'm going to come out to my friends and my family. And if you're married or dating someone, you're going to have to break up with them and start your new life. Do you think for a second that, one, your OCD in general is going to accept that, but two, the non-OCD part of your brain, again, that when we said that term ego dystonic, the part of your brain that's connected to your core sense of self and your values and who you want to be, do you think either of those would just accept that and be like, yeah, now we know it. We got our answer. We had one experience where I got a groinal response and it was kind of enjoyable. Or do you think that your HOCD would, or in this case, it would be, HOCD trying to disprove that you have now concluded that you're gay by saying, well, wait a minute. I still don't really want to be gay. I still feel like I don't want this. And how about all of the past experiences that I've had? So what, I had one, let's say you even loved it, like you had a great time. What does that mean for your whole history of your life, that you had a great time with people of the opposite sex? Right? So this is a trap that OCD people get stuck in so much of the time, is this black and white thinking trap. Okay? It isn't proof of anything. And what you're doing here, again, is you're just trying to use groinal response as some sort of measure for certainty. And you're just not going to get it. There are other studies. I mean, again, this is all stuff I looked into extensively when I was going through this. And I don't recommend that you do that, guys. I think that all I was doing when I was looking up all this stuff was one big ritual, me spending thousands of hours trying to find an answer, and sort of masquerading as someone who was attempting to do treatment. But I wasn't. I was reading all these studies about arousal. I mean, again, this is just as complicated. This one particular topic is just as complicated as sexual identity is in the first place. There's, what's the term? Arousal non-concordance. They did studies on thousands of people that got aroused at things that they said that they didn't expect to get aroused to. And that the explanation there was that the things they were getting aroused to were simply sexually relevant. So it could be an image of an erect penis, and a straight guy ends up getting an erection looking at it. And again, like, they can't even say this conclusively, but for a lot of these people, it was just, well, look, here's an erect penis. This is relevant to, some sort of sexual act, and you seeing the erect penis may have just clued something in. Your brain went into sex mode, and you got an erect penis. Or it could mean that you really liked it and that you're gay. And it could mean that you're never going to find out for sure, and you're never going to know with any degree of real certainty. And so again, the answer to this question is to stop trying to figure it out, to stop looking for any reassurance by sort of tuning in up here, what's going on down there. And this can become difficult because it's automatic, especially when we're trying to do an exposure that's intended to, amplify our anxiety and our uncertainty. It's almost natural and instinct within OCD to mentally connect with what's going on down there, which is why when I created my exposures that finally started working, I had to make them bulletproof. And what I mean by that is I had to make it so I could not find a way to ritualize. That's why eventually I started doing the exposures. This is so crazy to talk about, but whatever. I've been open and honest with you guys here, and with this particular type of OCD, like, yeah, you got to talk about some weird stuff sometimes. So in order for me to make that an airtight exposure, I would get myself aroused beforehand. So by either just physical touching, or I would watch straight porn where there's one guy, one girl, right? So I couldn't quite figure out what was doing what. Because that way it removed the element of me being able to check. And if for me, I've told you guys this before, I wasted so much time and I undermined my treatment so much by doing these little rituals while I was attempting to do an exposure. And that would be one of them, right? I would be, okay, we're finally going to do it. We're going to watch gay porn. And I'd be sitting there watching gay porn and I'd be focusing so hard on what was going on down here. It was just a big checking ritual. And sure, if I got fully aroused, then it would turn into a pretty effective exposure, because now it's, I didn't want that to happen, right? I wanted to check and make sure that I wasn't getting it. And so, yeah, what does it mean? What if I did get aroused? Well, again, it could have been arousal non-concordance. It could have been that I'm actually gay. But I would never be able to walk out the door the next day and say, now I know for sure that I'm gay, because then my brain would automatically go, what about all those times you got fully aroused with women? Oh, well, wait a minute. Maybe this means we're bi. You get aroused to both. Maybe you're bi. Really? You don't know that. What if looking at a penis makes you aroused as a man, and looking at a woman naked makes you aroused as a woman, but you don't feel emotionally attracted to them? You don't feel any connection in your heart. You don't find their body. You don't want to lay with them and sleep with them. You don't see a future with them. So again, this black and white thinking, it infects every angle of your OCD. And so ultimately you got to treat this question the same as every other one and just stop trying to answer it. Throw your hands in the air and say, I don't know. I don't need to know. I can walk away from this. And again, remember the paradox of OCD. The harder you try to get certainty, the less certainty you get. The more you just walk away, put a big question mark on it, the more OCD goes away, the more clarity you actually do get. So groinal response, I don't know. But I know that you don't need to know. You don't have to. So, all right, guys, girls, HOCD sufferers, I appreciate you tuning in. You guys, feel free to drop a comment. A lot of people, I guess I haven't been given my email address on the last few. It's ocdmindful@gmail.com. You can get me there. Shoot me an email and let me know what your questions are. And hopefully I can help you out. All right. Thanks, guys.